amount to share with each other if we open it up and open the dialogue, right? So, needless to say, I searched for the best doctor for my disease, and I didn't take no for an answer. I knew I didn't want to be treated, but I wanted to be monitored. And I wanted to be monitored by somebody who was really intelligent and who wouldn't put me in harm's way, basically. And I found that person, and luckily what he found was that the cancer was slow moving. So in essence, I had the one thing that every cancer patient longs for, which is time. But again, there's no cure. So he said, let's do a watch and wait approach. And I didn't know what that meant. I just watch and wait. So instead I decided watch and live. Forget the wait, live. And my whole family piled into the car. We were all crying and freaking out, driving down 7th Avenue, and we went straight to Whole Foods. We didn't know where to go, so we went to Whole Foods. We each grabbed a shopping cart. We filled it to the brim. I don't know what was more scary that day, the kale or the cancer. I had never seen kale before. I didn't know what kale was, what it did. It just said dinosaur. And I was like, oh my God, my life is over. And so, where I began was with the macrobiotic diet, because I saw a book. And so many of you who have been through this journey on your own, it's all about educating yourself. So books became my best friends. They became my boyfriends. I slept with many books. Right. And I went to the University of Google and figured out as much as I could about not my disease. I didn't want to know about epithelioid hemangioendothelioma. Thank you very much. I didn't want to know about that. I wanted to know about my body, about my organs, about alkalinity, about the connection between the mind, body, and spirit, about stress, about exercise, about everything that I could do to become an empowered participant in my healing. So the doctor looks at you for 30 minutes. He makes you wait for 4 hours. He looks at you for 30 minutes, and then you have 23 hours and 30 minutes on your own. And that was when I decided I'm going to take it back. I have my power. I can heal my body. And starting with macrobiotics, it was really remarkable for me because it was the first time that I got off the standard American diet. I went from scones, power bars, ramen noodles, Starbucks, lots of Starbucks, should have had stock in Starbucks, to waking up to miso soup, steamed kale, and brown rice. Oh my Lord. And I did that for 2 years. I did it very intensely for 2 years. I did a professional macrobiotic counselor training program because I thought, I better learn everything I can learn about this. And the first year I felt fantastic. So many of my problems started to change. The second year I started to get into some trouble. And I was losing weight too rapidly, lots of brain fog, tons of candida, and I had always had very poor circulation because the cancer is a circulatory cancer. So very cold extremities, hands, nose, butt, toes. And it just seemed to be getting progressively worse. So on one of my trips to this school that I went to in Philadelphia, the Strengthening Health Institute, a friend of mine who would take the drives gave me a book called Sick and Tired by Dr. Robert Young. Anybody, his stuff? Yeah. Right, so I devoured the book. It was a 3-hour drive. I devoured the book. And when we got to the school, after the first meal, and mind you, I was very strict for 2 years, macrobiotic diet. I can make cuisine like you can't even imagine. It takes 5 hours, but I can make it. And we got to school, and it was the first time I heard a pH paper. So I went into the bathroom, did my little tinker, and looked at what the pH read, and it was 2 on this amazing healing diet. I had 1 month before graduation, and I left school. We have a house in Woodstock, New York. I went there, I got all of his books, I started to read them, and I did my first fast. Now, mind you, I was advised strongly that if I fasted, I would kill myself. Those were the words. If you fast, you could die. If you have live foods and water, that's too yin. You will hurt yourself. So in the mind of desperation, I believed these things. And I say that, and I also believe some things in the raw community too, is because desperation does not lead to inspiration, does not lead to education. Desperation leads to fear, and fear is the great thief of time, right? If left unchecked, it devours your days, your weeks, your months, your years. There's nothing you can accomplish when fear is the engine that drives the Prius. So I was petrified, but I did it anyway because this book made sense. I didn't know how much you were supposed to drink. And since, becoming more part of the raw movement and hearing wonderful stories from Donna and Philip and my friend Matt Monarch and all these great people, I realized you're supposed to drink a lot of juice. Well, at the time, I would drink 2 cups of juice and water. That was my meal all day for 10 days. 2 cups of juice and water, green juice, and 2 pots of coffee, enema. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was willing to try. Needless to say, the healing crisis came fast and furious. So fast that just checking my time, I passed out, fell down a flight of stairs, didn't know how I would get, I was driving in the car, didn't know how I got to Sears to buy my first juicer. On the way back, I had to pull over and rest. It was intense. Then at the end of the 10 days, I will tell you that even though I was doing extreme things, I got my circulation back. I had never felt circulation in my hands, my feet, my butt, my nose. And I started to eliminate. A big part of my journey with cancer was understanding the connection between cancer and the gut, cancer and constipation, cancer and sugar.